ClimateGate, GlacierGate, AmazonGate, PachuriGate, with all the recent scandals about climate change, it sure seems like the global warming house of cards is coming tumbling down. But hold on there, Tex, not so fast. It's a complex issue and the whole world's riding on it, so it would seem to merit a closer look. I would have chimed in sooner, because this all happened months and months ago. I am, after all, the global warming grid guy. But to be honest, it took a little while for me to get over the resentment I felt when the scandal broke and I was flooded with questions of, what about ClimateGate, Mr. Smarty Pants? I just couldn't get past my immediate answer, which was, I already answered that. Read the dang book. After all, I wrote it specifically to address how to make sense of the shouting match over climate change, including any new information. But that's a petulant answer from a bitter author who's disappointed that the world didn't take up his brilliant work like the masterpiece that he knows that it is. So here's a brief version on how I suggest you go about making sense of the recent scandals. First, a couple warm-ups. These are hard to do, but absolutely critical. First, acknowledge that your goal isn't preserve my current opinion. Instead, it's improve my understanding to have a better chance of getting what I want. Because in any disagreement between our opinions and the physical world, the laws of physics win every time. So that means your current opinion might change. Make peace with that before moving forward. Second, accept that most people are focused on a useless question. The useful question is not, should I believe the global warming scare? Instead, it's what should we do, if anything, right now? Because the physical world doesn't respond to our beliefs, it only responds to our actions. After all, gravity doesn't care what you believe will happen when you fall out the fourth-story window. So that changes the question from, what should I believe, to what should we do? Third, accept that the future is impossible to know with certainty. That means all we get to do is make our best guesses and then place our bets. That changes the issue from one of predicting the future to one of probabilities and prudence. You don't wait until you're certain you're going to get into a wreck before you buckle your seatbelt. You weigh the risks of buckling up or not ahead of time and then make your decision and act on it. Okay, after the warm-ups, how do you think through ClimateGate or any other new development in the global warming shouting match? You may know that I suggested using a grid to compare possible future scenarios based on the likelihood of global warming being true or not and on the possible consequences of our actions. The main point was, don't base your decision on just one or two pieces of information. Instead, look at the big picture. So here's the pocket-sized version of that approach. You're being required by the laws of physics to place a bet, and the wager is the world. Because if we take action and it turns out we didn't need to, we may end up tanking the world economy completely. That would suck. And if we don't take action but we should have, we may end up tanking our whole life support system that we call the planet. That would suck too. So you look at the big picture, all the information you have about global warming, and you decide which is the more prudent bet, knowing full well that we'll never know for certain which was the correct choice until the experiment plays itself out. So when something like ClimateGate comes along, you ask yourself, how does that affect my estimation of the likelihood that global warming is true? And you make sure that you put ClimateGate or any other new piece of information into the big picture. You don't let any single detail trump your decision. Just because there's a hot day in December doesn't mean global warming is true. And just because it's snowing in September doesn't mean global warming is false. So when you hear about ClimateGate or GlacierGate or the gate of the day, you briefly go looking to see if there's credible information on the other side, like say from the National Academy of Science, in order to put the big picture together. There's tons of opinion and evidence on both sides. Just be sure to keep in mind the relative credibility of the sources. Is it a blogger or a scientist? A scientist or a whole collection of scientists? A think tank or a professional association? For instance, I went and looked at what factcheck.org had to say about ClimateGate. And then I wanted to confirm or refute my assessment that factcheck.org is fairly neutral. So I did a quick Google on factcheck.org biased. Since Free Republic complains that they're biased to the left, and Democratic Underground complains that they're biased to the right, I figured they're probably pretty neutral, and I weight their assessment of ClimateGate accordingly. Then you think about how the whole collection of new information affects your estimate of the likelihood of climate change being true. For instance, it could be that ClimateGate is conclusive proof that global warming is a vast conspiracy, or massive incompetence, or groupthink on an unheard of scale amongst various scientific, business, and national security communities. Or ClimateGate could be the comments of rude scientists taken out of context, but which don't prove that global warming is a hoax. Both are entirely possible. But I know which explanation I find more likely, and I'll place my bet accordingly. But judge for yourself. After all, it's your world that's being wagered. You deserve to have a say. And that's what I have to say about ClimateGate. My favorite video blogger in the world, Zay Frank, would sign off with the tagline, "This is Zay Frank, thinking so you don't have to." Since I'm mulling starting my own video blog about thinking through thorny issues, I'll adapt his tagline. While my version isn't as catchy, it is heartfelt. This is Greg Craven, just asking you to think.